Why is success so important and failure so devastating? Well, stay tuned as today we're going to talk about one of the most destructive emotional pain that can either make us or break us. Hi beautiful people, welcome back to my channel, Heal with Silvia. For those who are new here, my name is Silvia. I'm an emotion healer and I work with my clients to heal their emotional pain from the past that are hidden in their subconsciousness. Well, I created this channel to specifically talk about emotional pain and how you can heal them the right way so that you can be liberated from it. So if you're going through some emotional pain journey right now, feel free to lean onto this channel. I hope my videos and this community will be able to give you some love, light, and inspiration. Well, yes, every day we are surrounded by motivational quotes about failures. They all sound so perfect, inspiring, and powerful, but only until we have to experience the pain of failures ourselves. So why is failure so painful and devastating? So much so that some of us are even willing to give up our precious lives in exchange to stop the pain of failure. Well, having witnessed this repeatedly at a young age in my own family, failure had somehow become synonymous with death and impending doom in my mind, and I became really terrified of failing. Well, although this fear of failing had propelled me to work very, very hard in my life to achieve success, but it had also made the whole process filled with suffering and little joy. Well, I'm so glad today and relieved that I was able to break away from this shadow belief and be awakened to see the deeper truth and also the brighter side about failure and life. I sometimes wish I'm able to step into this light much earlier so that I can help change the course of the tragic that happened. But well, we all know life just doesn't work that way, right? Everything happens for a divine reason and in its own divine timing. Well, nevertheless, when I was scripting this video, what lingered in my mind was, if I can turn back the clock, what will I say to stop my loved ones from giving up? And how will we talk through the pain of failures and finally liberate our souls from the regrets? Well, this whole journey of grievance has made me thought a lot about failures. What exactly is failure and why are we so afraid to fail? And most important of all, can we ever heal our pain of failures? If yes, how? Come join me in this episode today as we journey together down the mysterious lane of failure. Well, first of all, our logical mind doesn't define failure first. Instead, the mind begins by deciding what should success be like. And by default, any outcome that falls outside of this expectation is therefore classified into the category of failure. In a traditional society, success is conventionally defined as having a great career, marriage, family, owning a house, a car, and affording the good life. Therefore, by default, being broke, single, divorced, jobless are judged as failures. For my generation, and perhaps even now, children are often told to study really hard so that they can go to the university and that we can get a good job and live a good life. And our little young mind had been so attached to this idea of success that when we failed to achieve academically, we felt like our world had come to an end and we are doomed to suffer lots of hardships ahead in our life. Well, growing up in a career-driven society like Singapore, having a stable corporate job is a success. meaning anything opposite to this is a failure. Well, I fell exactly right into this mental trap when I first quitted my corporate job after 2 decades. This subconscious attachment to what a typical success looked like made everything else I do seem like a failure. And in my parents' generation, faith and pride are very important lifelines. Hence, there was always this unspoken expectation to appear successful by being well-to-do, happily married with children, and live in a big house. So family scandals and personal issues are condemned and shunned at only because it creates embarrassment to friends and families. And the shaming can be so unforgiving that sometimes it can drive one to death. We may be astonished by these seemingly outrageous, outdated mindset, but like a fish living in the water who don't see water, many of us, including you and I, could still be holding on to some of these old beliefs and standards subconsciously in our mind. I had discovered this to my great disbelief through the process of tapping into my subconscious mind and the same patterns I witnessed across my clients during the therapy sessions. You'll be surprised that we may be as modern and new age as we think we are. Our mind is still so heavily wired by our past. And that is why many of us are still struggling with failures defined by the world and everyone else except our most authentic inner self. And now I'd like you to take a pause and check in within. Are you still in some ways living by the expectations of what success is in the eyes of your family, your society, or even your workplace? Well, if these ideas of successes are making you feel like a failure, it is time you start questioning your definitions. Well, click on the like button to shout out your positive affirmation that you are going to do a big review of your belief system about what success and failures are in your life. Well, a good majority of the therapies I worked on are related to failure, and the big spectrum of emotional pain that were extracted throughout the sessions made me realize why failure can be so painful. Well, these emotional pain range from feeling vulnerable, insecure, lack of control, humiliated, shameful, guilty, all the way to anger, blaming, hatred, resentment, and even jealousy. I had never seen a pain event that can trigger this much assortment of negative emotions, aside from betrayal. While I had a video on this, if you have not watched it yet, catch it later. The link is in the description box. Well, we all dislike negative emotions because these vibrational energy make us feel so low, so dark and powerless. And that's why we all fear failure so much. Our body and mind simply dislike these emotions. And failures can bring out so many monsters from our closet that it can be extremely overwhelming to cope with. But it is not just these emotional monsters that we are afraid to fight off. Another bigger hidden fear is to face the monsters of our past again. As I continued to work with my clients on their emotional pain of failures, I began to observe an intriguing pattern. Failures, whether it's about marriage, relationship, career, money, or health, were not born out of the blue. One way or another, they were the manifestation brought about by other old emotional wounds that were not completely healed. At times, it even looked like a self-fulfilling prophecy. This fear and pain of failure breeds more failing experiences into our life. A man who may have witnessed his own parent failed in business and went bankrupt will permanently withhold this traumatic experience in his subconscious mind and step upon the paths that will eventually may lead himself into a similar failure driven by the fear of failure itself. A woman who may saw her own father cheating behind the back of her mother will carry this subconscious hurt and resentment in her own mind into her own future love relationship. A child who grew up often seeing his old-age parents falling sick and suffering from endless physical pain may subconsciously believe in poor health and face his own health crisis at a later age. When we have experienced failure once, we never want to experience them again anymore in our life. And you should know that this is exactly the fear and resistance towards failure that continuously keep our wounds wide open and susceptible to more harm. The more you try to resist, escape, and prevent failures, the more likely you are going to face more failures. At this point, I want to say something really important and deep down in my heart, something I wish I can turn back the clock and say it out loud to those that I loved and were gone. Whatever failure is, and no matter how fearful and painful it may be, failure is not and never the end of everything. Well, if you're struggling with any painful events of failure right now or still regretting the failures of the past, I hope you can stay with me right through this last part of the video to find out how we can heal our pain of failure. Yes, failure is never the end of everything. We can certainly moan about our failures, but we don't have to give up our happiness. We explained in the beginning of the video what failure is, and I want to share another perspective right here while we talk about the healing. Like a protagonist in the movie, all of us are born with wants and needs. What we want are influenced by external goals, and we know what they are specifically. When we experience failure, if you think about it, failure is simply a label to reflect an outcome when we can't get what we want. Maybe we wanted a loyal husband, but he cheated and we failed in our marriage. Perhaps we wanted the wife to stay, but she chose to leave. Maybe we wanted to earn loads of money so that there is no more worry to put food on the table, but we lost the job. Maybe we want to be healthy, but we found out that our body is sick. Perhaps we wanted our business to take off, but instead we lost all the money. When things don't turn out the way we wanted, we label them as failure. So before we suffer, judge, blame, and torture ourselves over our failures, we can take a moment to re-evaluate why do we want what we want in the first place? And is not achieving what we want equivalent to not achieving what we need? Well, our existential journey on earth is simply a process of juggling between the discovery and achieving what we want and what we need. What we want is very clear, but what we need is more of an internal goal, which most of the time we do not know until we fall and stumble. Like I've always wanted to be in love, but is that what I truly need in order to flourish in my life? Well, it was only until I encountered all my failures in love relationship that I realized what I really need is to heal myself from the past, finding back my light and love about this world, my life, my family, myself, that were lost for a long, long time. Discovering what you truly need can help you redefine what you truly want and hence expand on your perspectives about your successes and failures. It was this huge realization that awakened me from my struggling with failures. As soon as I understood this, my failures don't seem to be that painful anymore, but eventually even became an inspiration for myself to heal and to grow. There's another irony in this world. While most of us take failure too seriously, we are yet also afraid to take responsibility at the same time. Failures are nothing more than a result of us making bad decisions, not taking the right actions, or not taking delicate care of what we have got. Failures can become entangled, chaotic, and in the end, seemingly irreparable, only when we become too busy paddling in the mess instead of cleaning them up. It's not that we don't care, but failures have the ability to panic and paralyze our body and mind, making us feel weak and incapable to do anything about it. And the next automatic behavior is to find something else to distract ourselves and numb the pain. That's when alcohol, drugs, and other toxic habits come into place. Well, if this is the state you find yourself stuck in right now, I want you to take a really long, deep inhalation and shout out the positive affirmation that all of these got to stop. Failures are like big bullies. The more you are afraid of them, the further they climb onto your head and mess up your mind. Place both palms on your heart right now. Close your eyes. Can you feel your own heartbeat? Can you feel the warmth of your heart? Yes, this is your life. The only one life you have to take care of in this lifetime. Now open your eyes, my dear beautiful soul. This is your life. You own it. You may not be able to choose the circumstances or undo what had been done, but you can choose how you want to change the experience of your journey ahead. You can either continue to face down and struggle in the mud, or look up into the sky and focus on how to get yourself out of it. Taking ownership is an opportunity to reconnect with your own life destiny. Pick up the pieces, put all your issues on the table, break down the elephants, and solve them one piece at a time, one step at a time, one day, one breath at a time. Eventually, all failures will become success in a greater form beyond your imagination. Well, a lot of blaming work happened in the event of failure. When a marriage failed, the blaming parties range from the husband, the wife, parents, in-laws, children, third parties, career, money, and the list goes on. The same blaming exercise happened for every other failures. But the ultimate blame that crushes us all when we fail is when we start blaming ourselves internally. Day and night, that blaming voices and regrets that circle in our mind, is so hard to shake them off. Is this happening for you too? If yes, my dear beautiful soul, I want to share with you a quote that had been my anchor of healing for a long time. If you have to choose between being right and being kind, choose kind. The reason why we hang on to our self-blame for failure is because we are so attached to the notion of being right and being wrong. We are devastated that we had made a big mistake, we fumbled, we screwed up, and we did not succeed. But getting stuck in this self-blame does not make things right again. There is always a third option that you can look at your situation. Not right, not wrong, but in the eyes of your loving kindness. Forgive your failure, forgive those who caused your failure, but most important of all, forgive yourself. When you forgive, your body may still be stuck in the puddle of mud, but your mind had been set free. With a free mind, you are now then able to step up, take ownership, and pick up the pieces and make things right again. Well, your journey to healing from failures had just began when you start working on these 3 steps. For the end of the video, I'm going to leave you with this one last pointer so that you can continue your journey towards success. Well, I have a daily ritual which I have been practicing for many years. And my key intention when I started this whole exercise is in order to put my heart and my soul into reinforcing my commitment to fix my life and to do the right things from now on. So I will put my palms together and touch these 3 spots: my forehead, my lips, and my heart, symbolizing that whatever I think, what I say, and what I do will always be aligned with my commitment to success. This alignment is a powerful way to reharmonize your life. You know, one of the reasons why most of us find it so hard to break free from our failures, and perhaps some of us even continue to repeat them, is because we tend to say one thing, think of another, and do something else. You know, someone who is addicted to alcohol thought of changing for good, but they cannot stop speaking negatively about their life story, and they continue to visit the bars and continue to drink. That's how failure continues to spiral deeper and deeper. At this point, I want to say that, dear beautiful people, failure is really not the end of everything. In fact, it can be the beginning of everything beautiful, but we need to take charge of our life and be committed to right our wrongs, change our old habits, take the extra effort to clean up the mess, bit by bit, day by day, no matter how hard or how long it takes. You know, in my own healing journey, I have learned to use this one principle to stick to my plan and be patient. And I want to share with you, whenever I feel like giving up because things still don't appear to be in the form of success, I touch my heart and ask myself, have I been doing my best? If no, then continue to try harder. If yes, well, then it is already success. You know, remember that life is never about a destination, but the journey itself. So if throughout your journey, you are always trying hard and doing your best, then your job is done. That is great success in life. Finally, you know, we have been talking a lot about failure and success today as if they are 2 different things. But actually, no, they are not. Failure is twisted into the DNA of success. If you want success, failure is part of the process. We cannot escape it. Every failure is meant to elevate you higher into the path of success. So don't ever fear or stumble over failures again. Alright, beautiful people, we have come to the end of our video, and now I would like to hear from you your thoughts on failures and success, or if you have a similar pain story to share and inspire this community, do write them in the comments below, okay? And if you have a question to ask me or topic you'd like me to create a video on, feel free to write it in the comments below as well with #AskSylvia. And finally, stay tuned to Heal with Silvia by subscribing to the channel, or head over to my website to find out more about my healing therapy. So beautiful people, thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you again very soon, sending you lots of love and light always.